everybody, and welcome to the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. We're coming rain, shine, or anything in between. We're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news you so love. I'm Ace Edwards, right alongside
Connor Baltazar.
And welcome to what has pretty quickly become it is a yearly tradition at this point. It's also one of our favorite episodes to record on any given year, and that is taking a look back at the previous year's high school recruiting class and going through and giving them in a draft order ranking. And as always, we have the voice of K-State recruiting, at least in the media sphere, Drew Galloway, here to join us. So he, as always, guest gets first pick, but more importantly, and just as an introductory note, how are you doing today, Drew?
Yeah, good. It's as we're recording, there's storms like all over Kansas. I've been back for 4 days, and this is my third day of severe weather, so welcome back. But this is always something that I look forward to doing. It is very hard and I know like why you guys do it when you do, because it's great for the anniversary show, but like I told Ace, like I'm so deep into 2027 right now that sometimes you forget who all is on campus right now, and it is a good like reminder. So I'm really excited for this, and I think that we all have different draft boards, and I'm excited to see kind of what everybody prioritizes.
Yeah, you really got the true Kansas experience of immediately coming back, death weather. Immediately.
Yeah, like Sunday night, it was Monday night. I'm like getting blasted by a lightning storm and a thunderstorm, and there's trees falling, and like it was insane. And I was like, it's really a welcome back to me. But everybody's good now, and we're all just chilling.
Yep. So without further ado, with the first pick of the 2026 Kansas State high school recruiting class draft, Drew Galloway selects.
Yeah, my number one pick is Oliver Miller. He is somebody that I have loved from the moment that he committed and thought that he was really underrated. I still think that he ended up being really underrated by the recruiting services. If you're looking for a dark horse guy that is a freshman that can play as soon as this upcoming season, it's Oliver Miller. Like, he's already been talked about. He was the one guy that Colin Klein plays his cards very close to his vest during a press conference, but the one guy that he couldn't do that for was Oliver Miller. And I think it's because we're going to see him a little bit in some fashion this fall. I don't know if he plays in every game. I don't know if he plays above the 9 games now that it takes to redshirt, but like I think that he has a tremendous ceiling, and I'm going to take him with number 1. I think that he is the best player in this class by a good bit, and I like this class a lot.
Yeah, Connor, we'll do the same thing we did last time, where it's talk in order, draft order as well. So Drew to Connor, so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think I do agree that Oliver Miller is number 1. I think the only reason I'm not I guess I convicted in that is because I think the number 2 guy that I'm about to pick here is like really, really excellent, and I think also falls into a like kind of underrated category. He did end up with a really good grade on one of these sites, but he didn't get the fanfare really that you might expect for a blue chip guy. But Oliver Miller, yeah, like he like had some like really high level interest as a recruit as well. And the fact that K-State was able to hold on to him with all the coaching turmoil around signing day, I think is wildly impressive. And it also makes it clear that I think that he was a huge priority to keep around too. Like, I'm a huge Oliver Miller fan. I have no issues at all with him being number 1. I think if I had been picking number 1, I probably would have chosen him too. It would have hurt my heart a little because of who I'm going to pick next. So I think the next guy's still my favorite. Although Oliver Miller, I think, is probably number 1 overall.
Yeah, the thing with Ollie Miller to me is he reminds me so much of another one of my guys from one of the first classes that we ended up reviewing. And it's not just because he's a left tackle. I am projecting him to left tackle. from the state of Colorado. But I look at his film like, yeah, he has the technical soundness of John Pastore when Pastore was coming out, but he's a lot stronger than Pastore is. Pastore's limit was always going to be how strong can he get. It was never going to be his technique. He reminded me a lot of, in that way, I guess, Mitchell Schwartz at right tackle, where Mitchell Schwartz was never the greatest athlete, but he just out-techniqued everyone. And Oliver Miller has that same level of technique that Pastore had coming out of high school with the physical tools to back it up. So I know who Connor's going to take next. I know who I'm going to take after him. But suffice it to say that I think that the two tackles that are going to be taken in the first round of this draft legitimately have a chance to be Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu. Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu at Utah levels of unfair as like a tackle duo. So we'll circle it around to Drew, and then Connor, you get to make your pick.
I'm just intrigued about who's about to go number 2 because I have an idea, but like I don't fully know.
Okay. Ace, am I good to go here? Make my pick?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go ahead, steal the pick from me.
Yeah. All right. Well, then I won't do too much build up. I kind of already did in my response to Oliver Miller, but I'm taking Max Lovett here. I fell in love with Max Lovett when he committed. I watched his huddle tape, and I could not stop seeing faster Jace Brown. Like I think they have a similar build, like which that part's a little more obvious, but their game is really similar. Max Lovett, excellent route runner, but he does, I think, have a little more burner speed. Now, Jace Brown isn't slow, but he's not like a 4.3 flat type of guy. Now, I'm not saying Max Lovett's that fast, but I do think Max Lovett, at least off the film, pops off the screen a little more with his speed. He is well built as well. His frame is pretty full. And he comes off as a guy that could get some run this year. Again, there's a lot of guys, I think, ahead of him in the receiver room with a little more experience and some talent. But, I mean, there's multiple ways for him to get on the field. I think he could be an excellent kick returner for K-State. I think he has future special teams demon all over him. And I think in a couple of years, he's going to be someone that could maybe push to be fringe all conference as a receiver. I'm a big fan of him, and I have been since he committed. He picked up a 4-star grade, I think, from On3, and I think he earned every bit of it, and I was happy to see him get that recognition because the class as a whole, I think, didn't really fill out in terms of its ratings until late. I think the class does get diminished a bit in the eyes of K-State fans because there weren't a lot of those blue chip ads early. Like the 23 class, we were getting Dylan Edwards not for very long, but we got him, Jordan Allen, Avery Johnson, all these really high level 4-star guys are flowing in. And so there's a lot of fan excitement around the class. This year, not as much. It took guys like Max Lovett biding their time and getting those grades they earned a little later. But he's the sort of guy that I think there should be a lot more fanfare around than there is.
Yeah, the number one thing, Connor can attest to this, the number one thing that I always look for in wide receivers is ability to separate. And that is a lesson that I've kind of learned over the course of doing this show. Because I always liked separators, but there was a lot of me that was, there are different skill sets. The one skill set that really matters, especially in a game based on space, like college football or even NFL football, is your ability to get open. And Max Lovett legitimately has the rare ability to, anytime that I'm going to see someone's one-on-one out of him, I'm like, you're screwed. So to me, that is the most important trait that Max Lovett has. And we've made this comp since he committed. Connor and I have been on this train where it is just faster Jace Brown. And you can see that in his senior year highlights when he has a few of those jet tap passes or reverses, the same things that we were running for Jace at the beginning of the season before all creativity was gone. And the only creativity left was Lincoln Cure passes, but neither here nor there. Max Lovett isn't going to be a contested catch demon. That's not his job. His job is get open and if maybe force double coverage just because no one person can cover him effectively. So just as a player and as a weapon in a Colin Klein offense, absolutely. That would have been my first pick, which Ollie's really good. So is who I'm going to take next, but I just can't get over the upside of Max Lovett.
Two Cherry Creek guys going 1-2. Those are also the guys, if you really read between the lines, that they're probably the guys that are the closest to seeing the field. Because Stanton Weber brought up Max Lovett as a potential returner too. Didn't get a lot of fanfare when he committed, and I 100% know that it's because he was a guy that camped. He camped, got the offer, committed, and I don't even think he had a rating at that point, and then ends up being a 4-star. Like, that is the kind of recruiting win that you look back on as like they ended up being way higher ranked and should have been way more celebrated than they were at the time. Not a camp guy, but like a 2027 guy that's kind of falling into this category a little bit is Ben Heineck. Like, he's almost a 4-star tight end, and like that's just like that happened so long ago and it happened so easily that nobody has really talked about it. But like the progression that Max Lovett made from his sophomore to junior and junior to senior year was a big, big leap. And I'm really excited about him. Like, faster Jace is actually a very good comparison.
So with Max taken, I'm going to round out my top three because I do think that there's like a tier that is like the top three. Then I think that there's 4 people right below that tier. I don't want to say there's a cavern afterwards, but you're getting into a lot more projection. But I'm taking Keegan Collins here to me because Keegan Collins is like the ideal right tackle to me, where Ollie's, technician, good pass blocker. Keegan Collins is major trade. He's an asshole. Like, he's just going to destroy people. And he's an absolute mauler with an absurd amount of strength and a want to in the running game and run blocking that you sort of just have to appreciate at any level. I mean, Devin Voss got on the field mostly because he was borderline crashing out every time that he got a block. He cared. And that's something that you can never doubt with Keegan Collins. I do. Yes, he still has room to develop. If you're looking at my board, Max Lovett has an impact grade of like B+ right now. There are no A+ in this class for potential, which not every class is going to have that. But Ollie Miller, I have as B+, A- for impact potential. Keegan Collins, I have B impact and A potential. I think his potential is slightly higher just because he's stronger, and I think he's a better overall run blocker. Now, again, adjust for positional value. Ollie's probably going to be if we're doing like a true NFL draft, he's probably going to get taken just because left tackle is more valuable. But I'm never going to say no to a plus athlete who loves mauling people in the running game like that. I'm just not going to decline that.
Yeah, Keegan Collins was also in my top 3. He was my number 3. He is an ass kicker, and like he loves getting after people and also loves talking trash, which I love out of an offensive lineman. Really fun tape. I think that he does probably have that higher ceiling because like Oliver Miller has such a high floor that like he feels very safe, where it's not like Keegan Collins isn't safe, but like he has so much more room to grow. Saw both of those dudes Sunday at the offensive line and defensive line camp, working the camp, and they do not look like true freshmen. They look like guys that could be ready to go in some capacity. Like, I think Miller probably is closer to seeing the field in like real action, where if K-State gets up big on somebody in the non-con or gets up big in conference play. Maybe you see Keegan Collins out there. Also, just fun because Texas Tech thought they were going to get him until they didn't.
Yeah, I had him as my number 3 guy as well. There's one other guy I kind of went back and forth on with him for 4, but it was never a serious contender. It was more of a just kind of give it some thought, and I'm curious to see where he goes. But I really like Keegan Collins, all the reasons you guys said as well. I think it's important for as important as it is to have some offensive linemen that make their game more cerebral and are like very self-contained. It's just as important to like have a solid balance of guys that do just like playing in the mud, and like they like to bring guys down with them when they're going there. Like Keegan Collins fits that mold perfectly. He and Oliver Miller, I think, really complement each other well in that regard too. So I think as a future tackle duo, I think that's something I think would be a fun dynamic to see. But and then broadly about these first 3 guys that we've chosen, uh, another huge thing for all of them is all 3 of those guys are early enrollees. So they've all been here since January, and that's gonna, I think, really help, especially for your Oliver Miller, or even like maybe especially your Max Lovitz. Help them see a little bit of time here and there as true freshmen. Like, yeah, we're not expecting any of these guys to come out and be starters year one. I think we've made that clear. But getting here early and getting a full winter, spring, and very early summer ahead of a lot of other guys that are going to be coming in late, that's going to give them a huge leg up with knowing the playbook, and then especially in the weight room for those guys, Keegan Collins and Oliver Miller. Like they came in pretty big already, like both being 6'6", near 300 pounds. But yeah, like getting here early, and to be fair, there's a lot of early enrollees in this class. Like, this is a early enrollee heavy class. I was tracking that as I was making my list, and like I think almost half of them, if not more, were early enrollees. So like that's a thing I love to see these guys. But yeah, love Keegan Collins. Not quite to the same level as Oliver Miller, but cannot go wrong with upsetting Texas Tech on the recruiting trail.
They've been getting upset a lot lately, but Drew, with second round.
I'm building my team how the NFL is kind of going, because I'm going pass rusher next, and I'm going to take Tucker Ashford, dude that just works really, really hard and really loves K-State and will do anything that it takes to win. I was very bummed out that he missed a lot of the spring due to injury, because I think this would have been a big time for him, especially at that position, because there's not a lot of depth behind the first 4 guys. So if he would have been able to play a lot of the spring, I think that he would have been closer to being in the rotation, at least for the game against Nichols and maybe against Washington State. So hopefully he can get up to full speed for the fall, because I think that he's somebody that also could be in the field, on the field in some capacity this year. And also just a ridiculous athlete. Like, somebody his size shouldn't be as good on the track as he was.
Yeah, this is exactly where I had Tucker Ashford as well. So my board at least is 4 for 4 right now. So if I'd been in your spot, I would have taken Tucker Ashford as well. If I remember correctly, he was a bit of an earlier commitment as well. And the Kleiman era, we saw them take a lot of linemen that had frames to fill in, and Tucker Ashford kind of felt like more of an exception to that trend, where he's kind of coming in like he's already like pretty big, like he's 6'3", 250 already. So like he kind of in terms of his build is reminiscent of Travis Bates. I think he's probably a more capable athlete than Travis Bates. But I like the idea of having a not necessarily just a pure pass rusher and a guy like Tucker Ashford, but he's very strong, like, and he's gonna be able to hold his own as a run stopper too, or setting the edge. So I'm very high on Tucker Ashford. That's a strong pick.
I'm also a big fan of Tucker Ashford. Out of the box, you have a functional finesse pass rusher at the Big 12 level, and that's extremely valuable. I think that there's some room to grow in run defense, especially because a lot of his reps are a lot more effort reps. But honestly, I will if a guy's highlights includes a lot of effort reps, I almost prefer that to them just absolutely dumpstering everyone they're going up against immediately and not having to try. And I also think that Tucker Ashford has a lot more in the way of moves, like pass rushing moves, than we're used to seeing from a lot of high school guys. Because, even going back to Jordan Allen, who was really, really well thought of, he was always a little bit more of a speed to power guy, whereas Tucker Ashford has spin moves. He does have, they always call him a forklift move, but he knows how to win with finesse. He needs a touch more strength to be a true power threat, but out of the box, as in a scheme that I presume, again, I don't know what Jordan Peterson is going to be running. I don't think anyone really does, whether it's going to be like 4-2, 3-3 multiple, 3-4 multiple, better known as a 4-2 modern hybrid defense, whatever. I think that Ashford fits well right now as like a wide 9 pass rusher. And that's an extremely valuable skill set to get on third downs, especially since Drew mentioned we have like 4 defensive ends on roster. I think did Shoki move to linebacker, or is he still an edge rusher?
He's always been a linebacker. I don't know why it said edge rusher on his profile before.
I don't know. But the point still stands. There's like 4 edge rushers on this team. So I think Tucker has a good argument to get on the field early, and it's not just by default, at least to me. Which leads us to Connor's pick for this round, which, again, I'm fascinated to see because there's this tier that I have on my board, so I'm curious to see if he stays in it.
Yeah, I think we're kind of starting to get to like it's fun in a different way because these first guys are fun because they're all just like really excellent players that we like have a clear vision for the future for. But like we're starting to kind of filter to the next tier. Not quite. It's kind of a transition period of guys where there's a little more projection and you're kind of like showing like what traits you lean towards, I guess, at this point. But I'm curious to see where you have this guy. I have Josiah Vilmail here, 5. The big thing for me is he is a corner that showcases some intangibles and some skills on the back end, and he's a excellent athlete. Like I take a heavy grain of salt with self-reported 40 times, but he self-reports a 4.33, so I'm gonna like handicap that to a 4.4, which is still excellent. His shuttle time, he lists like a 4.16 for that 5.10.5, which like that's bordering on like great at the NFL combine for a defensive back. So like he's got excellent speed, and is also with that shuttle time, he shows he's kind of a twitchy athlete as well. I think if Max Lovett doesn't end up being like the breakthrough as a returner, I don't like Vilmail has at least 1 kick return touchdown in his huddle highlights. That could be someone that like is maybe a dark horse in that area. I don't know if it's going to end up being him. I think Lovett probably has the inside track, but Vilmail I think is somebody that I'd be interested in at least seeing what he could do back there. Maybe not in a game, but at least, like give him a shot in practice. But I'm a big Vilmail fan, especially if he can convince his brother to come here too, because his brother's a 4-star as well in this upcoming recruiting class. So big fan of Josiah Vilmail, but I want to hear what you guys think about him as well.
To me, that's sort of like the bottom of this tier for me. And it's not because I dislike Vilmail. In fact, I really do like him. If he were to play immediately, I think that he's the perfect complement to Zayshawn Rich, where I think Josiah is a better field side corner just because of how much of an athlete he is. And I think that Zayshawn Rich is a lot better as a boundary corner just because of how physical he is in press coverage. Just ask that random TCU receiver who ripped off his helmet in the middle of a rep. I will never forget that. I was I was just right there. I was like, why is his helmet off? But Vilmael has a lot of room to grow. Right now, he, to me, is more of an athlete playing corner than a corner playing corner. But that's not a bad thing. You take athletes at corner for a reason. And to me, he's sort of a perfect fit as in a game that is so reliant on space like college football, where you have those absurdly wide splits. You need a corner like Vilmael who is able to sort of pass off different responsibilities in zone coverage, or is able to flip their hips on a dime and be quick and not lose acceleration on it. That to me is his role, is sort of a more off coverage corner, not because I don't think it's not because I think he can't play press. It's just that I don't think that fits his skill set best. I think Zayshawn Rich is borderline built. Well, Julius Brents was built in the lab to be a press corner, but Zayshawn Rich is like the next closest thing that you can get for a press man or a press corner. Vilmael, I think, is a better sort of off coverage, maybe a little bit more physical mid range, not true off coverage, but 2-3 yards off zone turn kind of corner. So love the pickup. Not a complete player right now, and I just have one guy who I think is who he is and is really good, and then one guy who is, you are starting from nothing, but he might be the best player on the team.
Yeah, Vilmael is a fun one. Technically, is the first Colin Klein commit, even though he didn't do like a lot of the work to get Josiah Vilmael. Technically, he is the first one of the Klein era. Really, really fun film, really quick, really long, like you guys said. And I am really intrigued about what a role looks for him right away, because I think that he's somebody that is almost so good of an athlete that you have to get him out there in some capacity.
Jacob Parrish. That's just what happened with Jacob Parrish. That and half the corner room died. But for me, the next pick, I'm going on ceiling, and this has been one of my guys throughout the entire process since he's committed. And it's an international player, the one international player in this class, and that's Adrian Bekabele. Now, there is an equal chance that he flames out and turns into nothing. I fully admit that. But the upside is so ridiculous for me at a position where you can have like a tier 1 and a tier 1B corner or offensive tackle, and you'll tell the difference, sure, but they're not going to completely destroy the game if there's a tier difference. To me, Adrian Bekabele is, if he reaches his ceiling, is sort of a 1A defensive tackle that could just destroy a game plan. And it's that. Now, do I think he reaches his ceiling? If he does, like, he's a first or second round draft guy. So not particularly likely. But even if he gets to like half of his ceiling, that's still a really, really good defensive tackle in the Big 12. And I've gotten burned on upside so many times, but I mean, it's right there. Like the upside is too high for me to not take Bekabele here. I get it. Doesn't have the highest ceiling, or doesn't have the highest floor. One of the lower floors, actually, but that type of athlete should not exist. Now, if he was in the same class as Anatoni Tahi, he would be lower than Anatoni Tahi because, oh my God. But the point being, one of my favorite pickups of the entire cycle.
No, I'm right there with you. There's people that are much smarter than I am that love what Bekabele can be. Uh, a guy that big should not be as athletic as he is. The hardest part is going to be the adjustment, and not just to college football, but playing in Kansas and trying to really adjust to that lifestyle. So, like, I don't know how quickly you see him on the field, but like, he is somebody that is a game wrecker at D tackle if it hits. And with how much that K-State did to make sure that they got him, you kind of hope that he hits, because I imagine that this recruiting process was kind of a chore to go through to get him to come over from Sweden. But was one of the guys that, like, when he camped, none of the coaches really knew who he was because he was with the RIG Academy people, and they were like, "Holy crap, we need to get this guy." So, a lot of fun. Uh, Interestingly, again, just a little recruiting tidbit here is like after he visited K-State, the K-State coaches were very concerned because as soon as he came back for a game, Georgia started to show real interest again. And then K-State was able to hold that off because they were on him literally from the time that he got his offer. K-State was on him trying to make sure that he could come and visit at some point. And I think that really won out here.
Man, it's pretty crazy that Becca Belly is going to go down as quite possibly the only genuine Mike Tuiasosopo recruiting victory, like in the history of K-State football, and he's not even going to end up coaching him. But I mean, I'm right with you guys. The only reason I didn't have him in this 106 spot was entirely because of like his floor. Like he may very well have the lowest floor out of anybody in this class. Like if he doesn't, it's entirely because of his athleticism. Like I'm with you guys. Like I had to watch his highlights a couple times when he committed because it was honestly kind of hard to evaluate him because the people he's playing against were just so terrible. Like it was worse than like 8-man like football out in like Western Kansas. Like he like was just tearing through people like it was nothing. But I love Adrian Becabele and his upside. Like Ace, I completely agree. I've been burned by upside so many times because yeah, for every success story you have, you've got like 5 players you look at and just wonder what could have been if they had reached like the like absolute highest they could go or even get close. But man, I really hope Becabele can figure it out. Especially, I don't think it's going to be a this year thing. If he plays this year, it's things have gone bad, and I'm very worried. But either that, or we can look at it in a positive light and say that the influence of Mike Tuiasosopo remains in the halls of Veneer, and he has become the most technically sound defensive tackle in K-State history.
Yeah, God, the ghost of Tuiasosopo. But anyway, well, starting round 3, Drew, one person left in my tiers, or this second tier for me. So again, I'm just curious how you have it. Maybe you don't. Maybe we have differences in evaluation, and you were better than me at this. So,
See, I don't even think that. I'm going off of what I had on my board because who I have at 7 is available, but the longer that we talk, the more I'm like, I should pick this guy instead. And I'm going to go LaMarcus Barber. He was the first commit of this class, I believe, from Mill Valley, Kansas kid. Of all of the high school commits, I think that he is the one that got the best from his junior to his senior season. And I think that he's somebody that should have risen in the recruiting rankings more than he ended up doing. Downside is that he is probably just a center at this level, but he is super athletic, a mauler along the interior of the offensive line, and just keeps that Mill Valley pipeline coming through to K-State.
Yeah, you sniped my pick here. I was absolutely going to take LaMarcus Barber if you didn't. Because I completely agree. Like when he committed, like I think the conversation for Mace and I was very much like, okay, fine, like, yeah, we took a Kansas kid, like that's all well and good, but like by the time his senior year is done, like it feels like we've kind of like pulled the wool over the eyes of like some of the other regional schools. I think, like, and it helps that Lamarcus Barber does seem like a real email guy as well. So I mean, there's K State players and there's email guys, like, and not everyone's an email guy, and Lamarcus Barber, I think, definitely has that sort of vibe to him, which I'm super happy with, and that should help endear him to fans. But yeah, like center at this level, I'm totally fine with. It does kind of seem like we've gone from like having no scholarship centers to having like a plethora all of a sudden. Like I say a plethora, it's like well, there's not that many, but I mean, like throughout most of the Kleiman era, like we didn't even have a scholarship or guy that started on scholarship center, going from Noah Johnson to Gilly, then Hecht. So it's been a roller coaster ride there, but yeah, I've got a nice little stable building up there. But yeah, big fan of Barber.
It's amazing to me. You named exactly one good center, but the Lamarcus Barber was the guy that I had to sort of round out this tier. I had him at number 5 on my board. So if Beccabele wasn't right there, he would have been my pick. And he is what he is. And that is a really, really good mauling interior offensive lineman who I wouldn't be crying if he got playtime early. I think he could handle it. The only question to me is ceiling. And even then, I don't think it's like a ridiculously low ceiling. I think he is a good player kind of ceiling. Now, granted, my luck on interior offensive linemen, not that great. Please, God, save me, Navarro Shunky. But yeah, I like Lamarcus Barber a lot. So that leads us into, to me, the start of the next tier where you are pretty much the rest of these guys minus my bottom 3 are okay. This is a lot of projection. So Connor, who are you taking with this one?
This is a guy that I've been very high on since he committed. He was a really early commit, and I'm kind of curious what you guys think about him because I am projecting a lot with him, and I'm also kind of going out on a limb with him because I think he's a little bit undersized. But I'm going with DJ Ackerson. I really like his athleticism. I'm drawn to him as a player. He feels almost like in the vein of like a potential future captain. He was very active online in K-State spaces as well. So like he seems to like really love K-State, like kind of like Lamarcus Barber, like a very emo guy. And I really like Ackerson. The big concern I think is going to be his frame and size because he is a little undersized for a linebacker. Now I know that's not a total discount. I mean, like Des Purnell's not exactly the biggest guy in the world, and he really made it work. But Ackerson doesn't have as wide of a frame, so I'm wondering if he can make that translate. Because I really like his game. He really flies downfield as a linebacker, and seems to play with a lot of emotion. He has a lot of traits that I do really like with a linebacker. The big question will be if he's able to get bigger and maintain a bigger size.
Yeah, if he currently weighed like 215, 220, he honestly probably would have jumped up above Josiah for me. But I'm so scared that he won't be able to put on the weight or keep on the weight to be a true run defending threat, especially since I don't know what scheme that Jordan Peterson is going to run. Because if you put DJ Ackerson in like a true 3-3 scheme, that's fine. You can just put him at like weak side floating linebacker, and like his job is just to fly around. But if you're going to ask him to be a more traditional linebacker in a more traditional scheme, right now he's going to get put on his ass, and like there's nothing that he can really do about that. It's not fair to him, but my concern with him is not athleticism. It's absolutely not athleticism. It is, can he gain weight? And if he can, yeah, he has the potential to be an amazing linebacker here. It's just that one thing that gives me pause.
No, I think that you guys hit it right on the head. Like, it is all about being able to put on weight for him. I think that he is somebody that once he's out in space, he does really well, but you do worry about potential size at the Big 12 level. And I mean, he is very EMA. He is not a K-State guy. Like, he is extremely EMA. So, like, I'm excited for the future of him.
Yeah. And that is who I had first in my tier of yes, but guys, as I will declare them. And I'm actually going to go opposite of my board here. Not strict opposite. I'm not picking the last guy. I get that honor later. But Arlie Morrell is who I'm going to go with next. And the main reason why I have him here, even though he is a 4-star, that theoretically, if star ratings actually meant something, he would be a lot higher up. The reason why is because he's not a tight end right now. He just isn't. And every time that he lines up at tight end, it is like that picture of what the hell is a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas, because he is not a tight end. He's too tall to be a receiver. So he's in like this weird neutral space. And he's not the athlete that Lincoln Cure was, to where like he can afford to be in neutral space with size early on, because he's a little light too. He's 6'6", 210 as it's listed. So he's not someone that can play immediately. But if he's able to either put on weight, I'm not going to suggest he gets shorter. I don't like saw off his ankles, make him a receiver. If he's able to put on a little bit more weight, he can be a sort of second move tight end in an offense that I project is going to use a lot more of 12 personnel from Colin Klein in like 2-point minor script font Sean Gleason. It's just projection of, again, putting on weight, because right now he's not a tight end. He is tall guy who can catch football, but is not fast enough to be a true receiver.
I do think that that's kind of what you worry about with Arlie Morrell, because he's not the athlete that Lincoln Cure is. So like, he's not going to be able to see the field probably as early as Lincoln did, because he's not quite the athlete that he is. But like, they are probably the most similar. And is there a more forgotten guy in this class than Arlie Morrell? Like, that's no offense to him. It's just that he committed so late and did it so quietly and happened so fast that like he is kind of the forgotten guy. And like, I think that some of it also stems from he ran into a lot of bad luck, that this ended up being his third school that he committed to because of coaching changes. And I'm very intrigued about what a future plan and like what an ideal weight is for Arlie Morrell.
Yeah, I'm in lockstep with you guys here. I do like Arlie Morrell. I think his film is solid. To me, it kind of feels similar to Garrett Oakley's film, but just way slower. And that was more of a Garrett Oakley was just like really fast for a tight end prospect, but Garrett Oakley also weighed like 190 pounds in high school. Like Morrell isn't that much heavier, but he's also a little taller. So he like is kind of got like baby draft tight end syndrome, where he's like oddly fluid and like is able to like actually like play the ball pretty well. Like he's like good at tracking and like sinking where he needs to be to get under the ball, like on deep plays. But at the same time, like, yeah, he like there's really like nothing there in terms of blocking quite yet. And even then, despite being really big, he didn't display the strength necessary in high school to really even like muscle through tackles. So he's got a really long way to go as a tight end prospect. But like there are a few pieces there, but it's kind of similar to Garrett Oakley. It's like there's definitely something there. Like they're different types of players, but their builds and the path they need to take are in similar spots, I think. But like the possibility of playing is there, but he got to hit the weight room uh, and just protein powder and everything, dude.
So we're officially at the halfway point of this draft. We can probably pick it up a little bit just because Drew, your time is extremely valuable. So we have another episode to record after this. So we're going to be here a minute. So, but we can go ahead and pick it up. Who are you taking in the 4th round?
This is a guy that I think I'm getting in a little bit of a steal because I really like him as my first non-lineman, by the way. Nick McClellan. I saw him at a camp. He was really, really impressive. His flaw is that he played quarterback in high school. So you got to teach him how to play safety. But he has all of the traits and all the athleticism. And I think with how many secondary coaches there are at K-State now, like if they are going to unlock him, like this is the way to do it because there's so many guys that can teach him in the secondary.
Yeah. Nick McClellan, wildly interesting prospect. I had him lower on my board, but I think everything you said is correct. And for me, the biggest selling point for Nick McClellan, I think, is basically that Iowa wanted him. Like, and that's not like the strongest basis in the world, but like as like circumstantial evidence goes, like one of like the teams that's only good at defense wanting a guy like that's gonna play defense isn't like the worst thing in the world. But yeah, like he's a huge question mark. I'm curious to see if he can make it work, but if he does, uh, it'll kind of be like a Bill Snyder safety situation. Like Bill Snyder turned a lot of quarterbacks into some solid safeties. So I'm curious if that's going to be how it goes for him.
Wesley Fair. I mean, that's really that's kind of my argument is floor not there at all. Freak athlete who can learn to play safety. Curious to see how it translates, but like Drew said, there's the population of a small island nation that's coaching the defensive backs. So I'm sure that he's going to get the coaching he needs. So if he doesn't develop, that's a him issue. But Connor.
Okay, I'm going to take a guy here that I felt like was a little bit underrated when he committed and kind of remained under the radar. And I'm going to take Kingston Hall. He is someone that I remember really being intrigued by his athleticism in his on his tape. He had a few plays where I thought he moved exceptionally well for a defensive tackle. And I think guy like Kingston Hall, I think you're hoping that he can fill a kind of Jalen Pickle type of role with like a bit more athleticism. Because Jalen Pickle, who I love very much, was not the greatest athlete in the world. Like when we had him playing 3-tech, but I think a Kingston Hall can kind of fill that role with a little more athleticism. Like I'm really curious to see where he can go. So I think he does have a high ceiling, but I do think like a lot of guys in this range, like I think he's got a long way to go. The frame is actually like not awful right now, but like I think he's still got some work to do.
Yeah, a long way to go. I do like the Jalen Pickle comp. The other defensive tackle that I always think of for as like pass rush specialist defensive tackle is D Hentz. Shout out D Hentz for being remembered by like 10 people. But Kingston Hall, I think, has the potential to be better just because he's bigger and he's a much better athlete. I think that he is someone that you could definitely get mileage out of as a pass rush specialist early on. The I just got a fun fact blasted into my eyes. Oh my god, D Hens is coaching at East Mississippi now.
Yeah, he's our D line coach.
Anyway, Kingston Hall is good, but what the hell?
Yeah, Kingston Hall, big dude that shouldn't be as athletic as he is. He ran the 800 and was very impressive. So he is a freak athlete for his size. Has probably the most seamless transition because he played 3-tech in high school for a 4-down front and will now be doing it in college. So like he probably has the easiest transition. It's going to be about getting everything between the ears. Kingston Hall, did you guys like his running back tape too? Because he does have a few running back highlights.
Yes, it reminded me. Yeah, the USO quarterback tape, which will live forever in my heart. Next up for me, I'm going to go ahead and take Garrett Dixon, which to me, again, I'm gambling on ceiling because he's right now, but I think that he's enough of an athlete to where he could reasonably play outside corner and play it reasonably well at this level. And again, to me at this point, I'm just kind of rolling the dice on guys that I think have upside before we get. And by the way, we are down to, for me, 3 people that are in my they have upside tier. So that kind of tells you how this last round is. My opinions on the last round, but I think Garrick right now not playable, but could be a good piece in the future.
Yeah, even Garrick Dixon, you say not playable right now, but I think that he's somebody that's going to be able to play on special teams right away. Camp guy played really well. I'm also like in the middle of writing a commit story right now, so we're just having a lot of things happen at once. After that D Hintz fun fact, it unlocked a cat signal.
Oh, word. Oh, well, we really should hurry up then.
We have not had a mid-episode cat signal in a really long time. I don't think.
Jake Clifton was the last one. I remember this.
I remember that because that was the first commit story that I ever wrote at KSO, and I remember having to sit on it for like 2.5 hours because he didn't commit like publicly for a really long time.
And then he went on a mission. Connor, what are your thoughts on Garrick?
Yeah, I think earlier we mentioned most forgotten guys in the class, and Garrick probably cracks the top 3 for me. Because I remembered among the DBs, Vilmail, because he was really late and a 4-star and like hyper athletic. I remembered McClellan because he was quarterback going to DB and Iowa wanted him. And then we get to Garrick Dixon, and he just kind of was like the odd man out there. Like he's a solid prospect, totally respectable prospect. That I just like didn't have like a super notable insight on him. And so maybe unfairly, he kind of slipped down my board for that reason. But regardless, camp guys, typically we've had a pretty decent hit rate with, or at the very least, as good as you can get from those guys. But yeah, I'm curious about it. I'm looking forward to seeing if he can play some special teams this year. I love when true freshmen are able to get on the field that way.
Sorry to throw the clock back to you, Drew, especially since you're in the middle of writing a commit story.
Well, shout out to Mason, because Mason's taking one for the team and writing this commit story for Cedric Marsh. I am going to go another kind of forgotten guy, because it happened even after Arlie Morel. I'm going to take Julius Wilson. I think that he has a lot of fun upside, an above the rim type of wide receiver. Not quite as tall as he was listed at. I think he ended up being listed at 6'2" on K-State's site. But really long arms, Oklahoma interest always intrigues me for offensive guys, even under this coaching staff. They seem to at least know what's going on a little bit. And to be honest, I kind of love Julius Wilson because he openly basically told everybody in Oklahoma that they were wrong. Because once Oklahoma offered, everybody thought that he was going to go there, and he's like, "Nah, I'm actually committing to K-State." So I love that.
Yeah, I did in fact like that as well. I love being able to kind of thumb our nose at OU because it feels like so often Venables has been able to kind of like dip into Kansas like whenever he wants, like kind of with free reign. So I mean, even though Julius Wilson like he's not exactly like a blue chip prospect or anything like that, it was nice to at least get one over them on that sense. But yeah, I mean, like I think of the because I have three guys and kind of like my bottom tier. I think of that group, Julius Wilson, I think is like far and away the best shot of getting out of that tier because he does have like a genuinely like intriguing aspect to his game, at least at the collegiate level, and that's he's an excellent contested catch guy. And I think he could potentially uh, make that a facet of his game. Like he may never end up being like a game breaker, but if he can play a role in a sense, like a pick and roll lob guy, I guess. But like if he can do that, I'll be pretty happy with that, especially for such a late ad.
Yeah, Connor knows how I feel about contested catch guys, and that they are not my favorite. It is, don't get me wrong, I am not knocking people for the ability to make contested catches, but you know what the best way to make a contested catch is? To be wide open. So to me, that's why route running just sort of supersedes that. Julius Wilson is going to be a solid, like top shelf kind of receiver, as in you just throw it up to him and hope for the best. I just question his ability to be a sort of weapon on offense. Like to me, his ceiling is, he's going to get 20, 25 catches in a year. And like, that's his ceiling. And there's going to be a game where he's going to get paired up against like a 5'10" corner who does not deserve it. And everyone is going to say, wow, why aren't we throwing this guy the ball more? And then he's going to go up against a 6'1" corner and stop existing. And that's my concern with him. But that being said, I mean, there's still value in having a contested catch receiver on roster. So, yeah, I get it, which leads us to Connor, your next pick.
Yeah, I think here I'm going to go with Carnell Jackson. Carnell Jackson, first off, you pluck him out of Auburn, Alabama. I don't think Auburn was a contender in his recruitment, but I do think Arkansas was, if I'm remembering correctly. And I'm like happy to take a guy that was at least looking at the SEC. I might be misremembering on Carnell, but like the one thing he has over the other defensive tackles in this class right now is size. Like right now, like he's already a big player, and I think that's not necessarily going to get him on the field, but it's going to at least give him a solid starting point. He's got a long way to go, I think, in maybe the strength department, the technique department, and the motor department, but he's got size. And I think to like at least a degree, I think he does have the want to. But I think if he's looking for a place to break through mentally, and like take the next step, if he's willing to buy in, I think Colin Klein's off-season workout program is probably the place to do it because it sounds like they just borderline break the Geneva Convention on these guys, and it's okay because they consent to it and go from there. So, but I don't have a ton to say on Carnell Jackson just as we're getting later here, but I'm curious your guys' thoughts on him.
Carnell Jackson's best trait right now is called tree stumping, where he's just impossible to move. Downside, he's not moving. that's kind of, it's sort of Siaki Ika syndrome, except for Siaki Ika developed into someone who cared like every other down and then would again delete whatever was going on the opposite side of the ball when he chose to care. But everything other than that, he was just deciding to be a tree stump. That's fine as like a nose tackle or a shade technique. That's all right. That's fine. I'm not going to get upset over that.
He's a giant human being. Like, that's about all I have to add that wasn't already said. Like, he's a big dude that can really move. And even with going to a 4-down front, you still need a true one tech. I mean, that's why K-State took Anatoni Tahi in the 2027 class, too.
Who might slow when it's all said and done, maybe we need to do like our favorite, like our top 10 favorite recruits of the past decade. That'd be such a fun episode. But for me, the next pick is going to be Bennett Frazier, who basically take everything that I said about LaMarcus Barber, remove 50 pounds, and probably remove about 70 to 75 pounds off his bench. Well, probably not 75. Remove a significant amount of weight from his bench press, and that's LaMarcus Barber, or that's Bennett Frazier, rather. So, functional guard who I think will play and could play someday, but there's just nothing that you get freakishly excited about with the ceiling with Bennett. But that doesn't mean that he's going to be a bad player. It just means that right now he is who he is.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best description for Bennett Frazier. Is like he kind of is what he is right now. Will be interesting to see if he ends up at tackle or guard, because I think that he's somebody that could probably do both, but you probably want him to be pinned at one and not kind of just being a swing guy, because I think that my soapbox is that is what stunted Andrew Lyngang's growth at K-State.
I think that's an excellent soapbox, and I think I agree because I know this isn't us drafting Andrew Langang, but he definitely he played early and just never took the next step. I think and it's probably because he didn't specialize. And I mean, hey, swing guy is important at the NFL level, especially, but at the college level, if you want to develop someone, probably put him in one spot. But Bennett Frazier, he pulls really well. So to me, that makes me kind of want him to be a guard, just to get a little interior speed. But really beyond that, he's kind of a ball clay, I think. He's not a bad prospect at all. I think he does have decent upside. But right now, he's very much a unaltered baseline creative player type of guy, where it's you start a road to glory, but forget to edit anything and just go straight into it, and you've got Bennett Frazier. I'm not saying he's a 40 overall, but I'm just saying he's just kind of baseline everything.
And now the final round. Drew, who are you taking?
The final round, I am going to take somebody that is a kind of a moldable guy, but is at the receiver position, and I'm going to take Caprice Keith, a guy that, again, happened in the middle of the coaching transition, but is somebody that a lot of smart people have told me that K-State kind of got a steal trying to get him as a wide receiver instead of as a safety. So that is intriguing. And, apparently I just have a type because he's another contested catch wide receiver. And I actually do really like those, even though they have such a low floor. But he's a lot of fun to watch. And, anytime you can win over Iowa State, I'm always going to be happy.
Yeah, I'm going to keep the bug. Caprice Keith was one of two guys in this class I just didn't really see it with. Now, if guys smarter than you have said that he might be a steal, then they're definitely smarter than me. So that is giving me at least a little pause. So it raises my eyebrows. I don't know if I'm going to move him off of where I've got him. But yeah, despite what I think about him, Like, I think you did bring up a few points that are worth considering, even for a guy that, like, at least like we're looking at him and we don't see anything, but like at the end of the day, we're not coaches. Like we like like can still see that Iowa State had him and they wanted him very badly. And we also wanted him very badly. And like that was K State and then Iowa State with Matt Campbell, they wanted him. That's two staffs that are known for being excellent evaluators. So it's at least something to consider with Caprice Keith. And if he can learn how to run a route and also learn what a route is, then I think like yeah, he could like actually like become something. But right now the floor is like very low, I think. But if nothing else, he could be a special teams contributor, I think, like with that level of athleticism. And if that's what we get out of him, fine. That's fine by me because you need special teamers.
I'll save everyone time and just say not my guy and let Connor move on. And he's muted.
There's two guys left on my board. One of them I can kind of see it with, like if I squint, and the other one I quite simply do not see it at all, like in any way, shape, or form. So I'm gonna take the one that I think at least like provides a profile to give him a shot, and I think that's Lawson McGraw. He is a very tall player. He played both ways. He's actually listed as a linebacker. I'm pretty sure on on three he's listed as a linebacker. And like, as far as I know, he's going to be a tight end at K State. So like he's got some athleticism to his game. He's a solid high pointer of the football, but and he's got the lineage as well with his dad. Not just being a K-State player, but playing in the NFL and playing for the Chiefs. So he's got a lot of local blood there. So I think he's got a shot at putting it together. And he's got a, like, if anyone is going to, he's got so many factors in his favor that should be able to help him get over the hump that I think, like, that maybe he is someone that fights through it, is able to do it. But Boston McGraw, someone that does have a long way to go. Did somehow get a 4-star, though. I think it might have been 247 that gave him a 4-star, which I don't know what they were getting from that, but 247 does love a raw athlete and just throwing him a 4-star here and there. So,
yeah, to me, Lawson McGraw is probably the laziest eval that I could give, other than Carnell Jackson, where Carnell Jackson's just a tree stump. And Lawson McGraw is someone who can play tight end. And as lazy an analysis as that is, he can do everything that a normal tight end, a traditional tight end can do. He can block a little bit. He can be a little bit of a matchup problem. The problem is he doesn't have one trait that just pops out that you can really attach yourself to. That being said, there's value in just being good and being able to do everything that is asked of you. I mean, because Arlie Morrell has a higher ceiling. If you ask him to block, he's going to die. Lawson McGraw, if you ask him to block, he can get in someone's way right now. So to me, that's the difference. That I don't see the receiving upside, but he could be a good player at K-State. He could be a contributor here, I should say.
Yeah, I think that he is a very solid player who can come in and is going to be somebody I think used more as a special teams weapon to begin his career, which is wild to say as a tight end, but like Lawson McGraw can definitely play some special teams. What he does as a tight end remains to be seen, but I mean, he is as emo as they come. I mean, him and his family, and even if you tie in like Cannon Smith, who he's first cousins with, like that is a family of K-Staters So like he will do whatever it takes to get on the field.
So the last pick actually wasn't the last person on my board. That was Capper's Keith. But Tanner West is the unfortunate Mr. Irrelevant in this class. Now, I want to start with the positives of Tanner West, and that's that he's versatile. He can catch out of the backfield. He can play running back. If in a pinch you needed him to play sort of flex wide receiver or slot receiver, he could do it. And this is wholly unfair to him. He will always, in my mind, be compared to H.D. Davis, who I liked a whole hell of a lot more than Tanner West. It's wholly unfair to him because I think in some ways, I mean, especially as a receiver, I think Tanner West was better than H.D. Davis. But here's the funny thing. Tanner West and H.D. Davis are both running backs. And to me, Tanner West as a running back just doesn't have an it trait. And again, it's sort of the Lawson McGraw argument. Would you rather have someone who's decent at everything or has one wow trait? I'm taking the wow trait because you can build a game around a wow trait. You can't build your game around, he's all right, I guess. That's called like functioning. That's not building. So Tanner West, not a horrendous player. I could see him playing at K-State. He's, again, like I said, he wasn't the bottom person on my board, but he has the unfortunate dishonor of being the person who was picked over, admittedly, one of my favorite guys in the class.
Yeah, Tanner West is interesting because I think that he is at his best in the passing game, actually. And I wish that we would have gotten to see a full senior season of Tanner West because he had an injury and missed a lot of his senior season. But that's what makes him so intriguing to me, though, is that he is kind of this unknown commodity that is probably at his best as a receiver at running back. So we'll kind of see how this plays out. But like I think that is probably why he ends up being the last one, because he is just such an unknown at this stage.
Yeah, I'm right there with you guys because I remember like even when he first committed, like I'm sitting there watching this like running back that is just committed to A-State, and I'm like, he is better at catching the football than he is at running it. Because I'll be blunt, and I don't mean to be mean, but I do not see it at running back. I don't think he's an FBS running back. Like I think that he could develop into an interesting receiver. And I think he could be a special teams guy as well. Like I think he could be a demon on special teams. But I do not see it running back. And since that's the position he's listed at, that's the one I'm going to grade him at. If he were, a receiver, then maybe that changes. I don't think he'd get that much higher, but I think I would definitely be a little higher on his potential. But I mean, his future is going to be as a Wes Welker, a Julian Edelman, a Danny Amendola. What are some other white people, Ace? Can you tell me real quick?
What are some other white people? New white people just dropped. I mean, you nailed the big ones. Like whenever you think of white slot receiver, I mean, who are you missing? Cole Beasley, Adam Humphries. Who's the guy who played for the Raiders forever with a really bad hairline?
Hunter Renfrow. I was going to say, I just thought of a great poll, River Craycraft.
Oh, Mr. Hurricane franchise legend.
That's
River
the
Craycraft.
only reason I know him is Mr. Hurricane. So, but okay, my Tanner West eval is now over.
River Craycraft, I believe, caught at least a preseason touchdown from Skylar Thompson.
Oh.
The world revolves around the cat. Some are saying.
Many intelligent people are saying it, but Drew, I know you have many obligations, but I just want real quick final thoughts overall on this class, because Connor and I have gone ad nauseum about this class before, but what are your final thoughts and final words before we sign off today?
Yeah, this class was hectic, would be the word that I would use to describe it. And not because of everything that happened, like to get the players, but what happened on signing day. Like, I don't think that I will ever forget where I was and how everything kind of transpired, and me making what felt like 55 phone calls on that Wednesday of like, what is happening and how is this all happening and why is it happening right now? I also remember kind of the lead up on Tuesday of thinking to myself, the last thing that I want is for this to all happen tomorrow, and it did. But there's a lot of high-end talent in this class. I really like the offensive line. If you can't tell that I took two of them, and I think that this is I think that this offensive line class rivals that 2020. Is that 2024 at this point with Gus Hawkins and all those guys? I think that this class is probably more polished and had better recruiting wins than that one. Uh, this is always one of my favorite things that I look forward to doing. So I'm glad that you guys keep asking me to do it, because I didn't want to invite myself, but I was going to if Ace didn't ask if I wanted to.
You are always welcome on the show. You're welcome to invite yourself at any given time. Maybe invite yourself for a Batcat episode, because
Yeah, I think you guys would only want me on if things were going badly with the Batcats.
So this last year.
Yeah, so like this last year, but I think I would have been like borderline unhinged because there are so many texts that I sent of just like, if they had literally a pitcher, the season goes so much better.
If there's a day that my DMs with Zach, K-State man, leak for when we were watching the Batcats games, we had a running bit where it was just like, we would say like, I don't know, Pete Hughes gets fired 4K Ultra HD, and we just kept adding like modifiers. So I think at one point we got up to like 7 modifiers where it was like 8K AMC laser vision 4D 3D. we got up to that point, but it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. But we'll let you get on with your night. Know it's a busy time as always with recruiting, especially with the recruiting coaching staff. But thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. If you want to follow or contact the show, you can follow us just about anywhere at Aggieville Alleycats. And if you want to email us, we're AggieVilleAlleycats@gmail.com. If you want to follow us on a more personal note, I'm at ACEdwards00.
I'm at Connor Boutzler, capital C, capital B.
And instead of plugging the merch, I will tell you guys to go subscribe to KSO for all the great work that Mason Voth, Drew Galloway, Derek Young, sometimes Jimmy Goheen, KSU_fan, does, especially during football season. Those are the 4 core staff members, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes I forget that Flando is or like isn't there. I keep like posthumous. He's not dead. Like posthumously, he's not dead. I keep including him for some reason. But thank you all for listening to this episode of the Aggieville Alleycats podcast. Or come rain, shine, or anything in between, we're here to deliver to you the Kansas State sporting news that you so love. Stay safe, Alleycats.